As people, we often think that we can say that we know another person. And this is probably a very strong inner belief we all have. And I was wondering about this. I don't have a script in front of me, just my thoughts and my raw self and my ability to speak and to think critically, hopefully. But the thing is, we often say we know a person. We know this person. But we don't stop to maybe question ourselves like, what does that even mean? What exactly do we know about this person and in what sense? And even if we do know, so what? Because a lot of times when we say we know a person, we define it as we know how they're going to react, we know how they think, we know how they will act. And many, many other definitions that are very subjective and vary from person to person. Let's stop for a minute and really question this assumption, because I think it's very interesting how we can say this about people when in reality, more often than not, we don't even know ourselves, let alone another person. So what do I mean by this? To say that you know someone implies that you know everything or a lot to some degree. But as you know, people are very complex human beings. And we have so many emotions shaping us, so many thoughts, and so many beliefs, so many experiences that you can never, ever really put yourself in another person's shoes. But often when we say we know someone, we do it as a way to tell them, I can put myself in your shoes. And what I'm saying to you is true because I know you. That's often what is meant by this. And it's often also protective, also manipulative to some extent. But really, I want to tell you that it's really a very strong statement. And I don't know if it's useful to ever say, I know you. Because what exactly does that entail? And what should the other person do with this information? More likely than not, this person will not agree with you. Or he will get defensive, she will get defensive, or something will derail the conversation. Because, look, at the end of the day, we evolve every day. I don't think human beings are a fixed entity, a fixed concept, a fixed feeling, a fixed thought every single day, right? So even if some things may be true over the long term and we can draw conclusions about the people around us, I think that at the end of the day, every day we wake up, in a sense, we have new thoughts, we have new experiences that shape us, and we have new, transformations. And so to say, I know you, you are a very irrational person, is a very strong statement, because I might have, during that time you thought you knew me and we haven't met, I might have worked on that, or I might have tried to become more rational and control my emotions or manage my emotions. I'm not saying what is right or wrong here. I'm just saying I might have changed. And people often change, and that's why you can never truly know a person. But I think knowing a person is a lot of times a prerequisite for a lot of people to have interactions with them, right? Or a deeper bond, right? I need to get to know you. I need to get to understand you. It's all synonyms for the same thing. I need to get to have some kind of control or some kind of awareness about you so I can make my own decisions and maybe be aware of what you could do to me or what you could say or what you could endeavor to do whenever we speak. But here's the problem. Here's the very, very problem with this, I think, and the interesting question, I guess, for each and every one of us. Can you ever really know a person? And why are you really seeking to know a person? Because at the end of the day, first of all, it's subjective, right? A person can tell you one thing and then wake up the next day and do another thing, right? I can see the point of view where you can tell by their actions what kind of person they are. But again, actions are very, I wouldn't say rational, but quite the opposite, right? Because oftentimes when we take action, when we say something, when we make a decision in front of someone, we also factor in emotions. And these emotions are definitely not something rational, and we all have these emotions. They express themselves in different people in different ways, but at the end of the day, they also are not reliable indicators of what a person is or who a person is. So what I'm really getting at with these reflections, because I guess my life has taught me this and has forced me to reflect on this, you can never know a person, right? So I don't know if knowing a person, the need to know a person, is rooted in control. Of course, you can have criteria, right? If you're dating, for example, you can have criteria and you need to get to know the person at a base level. But whenever we make a sweeping statement like, I know you, or I need to get to know you fully, I think that's impossible. There's just so many things to know. And even the things you think you know are probably not very known. So I guess the point of these reflections are maybe to provoke you to think a little bit when you say, I know you to someone, or when you think you know yourself, to stop and think, well, do I really know myself? Because there's so many aspects to myself. How could I possibly, go on and say, I know this other person, right? And I think that's very helpful, just to reflect on how we deal with people and how we interact and how we approach things. Because obviously there's a base level of knowing. Nobody's denying that. But to use the fact that you know a person as a weapon or as a shield to protect them from something is, I think, not very useful. And to try to fully get to know someone is also a very difficult task, and something that will probably take a lifetime. So what I'm trying to say, perhaps, and what maybe I have concluded on this topic, is that maybe we shouldn't try to get to know the person fully, right? Don't make it a trying act. Don't make it a conscious choice, because you will never do that. Just exist with this other person and accept them for what they are and what they aren't. And if you feel fulfilled with them, if you feel happy with them, then that's the most important thing. Because if they change, they change. You leave. I think that's always an option. But to try to control them or mold them or say you know them to get them to do certain things is probably something that will backfire, because it is not very justifiable to say that to someone, and it will always, for some reason or another, force some kind of defensive reaction, because it's such a strong statement to make about other people. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's some of my reflections. I think that to know is beautiful, but to truly know is unattainable.